Hey gardening friends, ready to grow healthier plants, bigger harvests, and smarter gardens? Let's get started.
What if I told you that every single time you pinch off a sucker from your tomato plant, you might be killing dozens of future tomatoes with your own 2 hands? And what is even worse, you are literally opening the door for disease to flood straight into the bloodstream of your plant. Welcome to the Smart Gardener. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. Poorly recycled gardening advice all over the internet has created an epidemic of unnecessary tomato pruning, and it is destroying harvests in backyards all across this country. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why you need to stop removing suckers, or at the very least, cut way back on the pruning, because the science and real-world experience both say the same thing. It is doing far more harm than good. And stick around until the very end, because I am going to share a critical nutrition secret that almost nobody talks about, and it is the key to getting record-breaking yields from your bushy, multi-stemmed tomato plants. Now, before we go any further, you need to understand something that a lot of gardeners get wrong, and it costs them big time. There are 4 main types of tomato plants, and the rules for pruning are completely different depending on which type you are growing. The first type is the determinate tomato. This plant grows as a compact bush to a set height, usually around 3 feet tall, and then it stops. Every single flower and every single fruit on this plant comes directly from the suckers, those side shoots growing out of the nodes. So if you remove even one sucker from a determinate tomato, you are literally cutting off the part of the plant that produces your food. Never touch the suckers on a determinate tomato for any reason. The second type is the semi-determinate. This one fools a lot of people because it starts out looking like a vine for the first couple of feet, so gardeners grab their pruning shears and start snipping. But here is the catch. After that initial growth, the plant shifts gears and starts bushing out with heavy sucker production, and that is exactly where all the flowers and fruit come from. Remove those suckers and you are gutting your harvest. The third type is the dwarf tomato. Whether the label says determinate or indeterminate, every dwarf variety grows as a bush and depends on its suckers for flowering. Do not remove them, period. Now, the fourth type, the indeterminate tomato, is the only one where removing some suckers is even up for debate, because indeterminates are true vines and they can recover from some pruning. But here is what the research actually shows. A university study on heirloom varieties found that plants with no sucker removal or only the bottom 2 suckers removed produced significantly higher mid-season yields than heavily pruned plants. Another study confirmed that reducing fruit load through sucker removal did not lead to greater total harvests, but it did require a whole lot more labor. So even with indeterminates, the evidence says most of us are way overdoing it. So now that you know the 4 types, let me show you the science behind why letting those suckers grow is actually the smarter move. Here is something that is hardwired into the DNA of every tomato plant. No matter how many main stems your plant has, they all produce flower clusters at nearly identical spacing. So a plant with 2 main stems gives you roughly double the flower clusters compared to a single stem plant. 3 main stems, triple the clusters. 4 stems, 4 times the flowers. It is simple math built right into the genetics, but it goes deeper than just flower count. Think of every leaf on your tomato plant as a tiny solar panel. The more leaves your plant has, the more sunlight it captures, and the more food it manufactures through photosynthesis. Researchers measured something called the leaf area index, and they found that a single-stem tomato plant scores about 3.7 on that index, while a 2-stem plant jumps to 5.3 and a 3-stem plant reaches over 6. More stems means more leaves, means more energy, means more fruit. It really is that straightforward. And here is something that might surprise you. Those extra leaves do not just feed the plant, they protect your harvest. Research out of a major agricultural university found that plants with 30 to 40% more foliage than what standard pruning allows experienced 76% less sunscald on their fruit. And contrary to what a lot of people believe, tomatoes do not actually need direct sunlight to ripen. In fact, direct sun exposure can actually interfere with even ripening. So that dense leafy canopy is not blocking anything. It is shielding your tomatoes from sunburn while also hiding them from birds, squirrels, and insects that would otherwise feast on exposed fruit. Now, here is the flip side, and this is where it gets really serious. Every time you make a cut on your tomato plant, you are opening a wound, and that wound becomes a doorway for dangerous pathogens. One of the most destructive tomato diseases, bacterial canker, spreads directly through pruning cuts. The bacteria enter straight into the vascular system of the plant, and once they are in there, the infection moves fast and can kill the entire plant. And here is the thing about your pruning shears. It is practically impossible to fully sanitize them between every single cut. So what you are really doing is carrying bacteria from one plant to the next, from one wound to the next, spreading disease through your garden like wildfire. On top of that, when a tomato plant gets cut, it triggers an emergency stress response. The plant starts producing a defense hormone called jasmonic acid, and that process burns through energy that the plant would have otherwise used for flowering and setting fruit. Every cut forces the plant to choose between healing itself and growing your tomatoes, and healing always wins. Even pinching off tiny suckers with your fingers still creates a small wound and still triggers that stress response. And let us be honest, by the middle of the season, your plants are throwing out multiple new suckers every single day. There is just no way to keep up with it. So, you either let them grow and enjoy a big, bushy, productive plant, or you spend the rest of your summer chasing suckers with scissors and stressing your plants out over and over again. So where did this whole craze of ripping out every sucker actually come from? The answer is commercial greenhouses. Inside those controlled environments, growers plant indeterminate tomatoes incredibly close together, sometimes only 8 to 12 inches apart, and train each plant up a single stem all the way to the ceiling, 16 to 20 feet high. They do this because greenhouse square footage is extremely expensive. It is a strategy to optimize real estate, not to optimize how much fruit each plant can produce. Some home gardeners saw that system and thought it was the best way to grow everywhere. They made videos, others copied them, and the internet got flooded with the same recycled advice. But what works inside a climate-controlled building with no wind, no rain, and no pests does not work the same way in your backyard. A tall, single-stem vine gets battered by wind, baked by the sun, and soaked by rain that splashes disease right onto those open pruning wounds. A shorter, bushier plant handles all of that so much better. Now, to be fair, there are a few situations where heavier pruning makes sense. If you have your own greenhouse or tall trellis in a protected environment, single stemming works. If you want the biggest possible fruit for a competition, limiting stems pushes energy into fewer fruits, though oversized tomatoes tend to crack and ripen unevenly. If you live in the far north with a very short season, smaller plants help fruit ripen before frost. And if frost is about 45 days away, removing excess suckers and topping the plants helps ripen the green fruit already on the vine. But for most of us who want the most productive plants possible, leaving those suckers alone is the way to go. And now here is the bonus I promised you. When you let plants grow multiple stems, they need more nutrients, especially calcium and potassium. Fall short on that and you get blossom end rot, that ugly dark spot on the bottom of your tomatoes. It is not a disease. It is a calcium deficiency from inconsistent watering and poor nutrition. So make sure your plants get at least 1.5 inches of water every week and keep it consistent, because big swings between wet and dry are the #1 trigger. Mulch around the base with straw or wood chips to lock in moisture. Adjust your fertilizer through the season. More nitrogen and phosphorus early on, balanced during flowering, then higher potassium and calcium once fruit starts setting. And remember, calcium only moves one direction in the plant, from roots upward through the water stream. Spraying it on leaves does almost nothing for the fruit. Get the nutrition right through the soil and steady watering, and your multi-stemmed tomato plants will reward you with the biggest harvest you have ever seen. So let me leave you with this. If you are growing determinate, semi-determinate, or dwarf tomatoes, do not touch those suckers, ever. If you are growing indeterminates, the only pruning I recommend is removing the lowest leaves about 12 to 16 inches from the ground to prevent soil-borne disease, and that is it. Let those suckers grow into strong main stems and give your plants the nutrition and consistent water they need to support all that growth. And if you do not believe me, I challenge you to try it yourself this season. Take half your tomato plants and prune them the way you always have. Then take the other half and let them bush out with minimal pruning. Compare the results side by side and let the plants speak for themselves. Sometimes, the smartest thing a gardener can do is step back and trust the plant to do what nature designed it to do. Now, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me about your experience with pruning or not pruning your tomatoes. If this video helped you see things differently, please hit that like button, subscribe to The Smart Gardener, and ring that notification bell so you catch the next one. Share this with a friend or family member who loves growing tomatoes. It might just save their harvest. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.